Neoma, who was teased by her colleagues because of her size, "You know these rice will not help your future husband." The group laughed. Neoma forced a smile, pretending not to care. But each comment chipped away at her confidence. The morning sun spilled through the curtains of a small apartment in Surulere, Lagos. The faint hum of traffic below mixed with the smell of fried plantain from a nearby food vendor. Neoma Okafor, 27, stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her soft brown skin glowed even without makeup, her full cheeks held a natural charm, and her eyes, gentle and soulful, seemed to carry the weight of the world. She sighed as she tried on her office blouse. The buttons strained slightly at her chest. "Again?" she murmured, frowning. Every outfit reminded her of the one thing everyone seemed to notice: her weight. At work it was no different. The real estate firm she worked for was filled with sharp-tongued co-workers who valued looks as much as skill. During lunch, they scrolled through Instagram, admiring influencers and gossiping about who had added weight. "Ah, Neoma," her colleague Chioma once teased, "you know this rice will not help your future husband." The group laughed. Neoma forced a smile, pretending not to care. But each comment chipped away at her confidence. Every evening she returned home exhausted, not just from work, but from pretending to be okay. She would cook herself dinner, sit by the window, and watch the Lagos skyline twinkle like 1,000 tiny dreams she couldn't reach. She wanted love, the kind that wasn't ashamed to be seen holding her hand in public, the kind that didn't come with pity. But in a city that worshipped slim perfection, love seemed like a luxury for someone else. Still she hoped. Deep down, she whispered to herself every night, "Maybe one day someone will see me differently." Obinna Chukwuma had built a name for himself in the tech world. A calm, focused businessman who had returned from the UK to grow his company in Lagos. To many he was the definition of success, confident, wealthy, and single. But behind his achievements, Obinna was tired of superficiality. He had dated women who looked perfect on the outside but lacked depth on the inside. He longed for someone real. On a humid Thursday morning, he walked into Neoma's office to finalize a lease on one of his new project sites. He wore a simple gray suit and a calm smile that carried quiet power. "Good morning, sir," Neoma greeted, her voice polite but shy. He looked up from his phone and smiled back. "Good morning, miss." "Neoma," she said softly. "Beautiful name," he replied. It was the first time in years she blushed at a compliment. Days turned into weeks and their paths crossed often. He noticed how she treated people, always with patience, always with kindness. She greeted the janitors with respect, comforted the interns when they made mistakes, and smiled even when no one deserved it. One evening as he left the office late, he saw her waiting at the bus stop, rain pouring hard. Without hesitation he parked and offered her a ride. "Come on," he said, rolling down his window. "You'll catch a cold." She hesitated, then stepped in. The scent of his cologne filled the car, calm, warm, expensive. They drove in silence for a while, city lights flashing past. Then he said quietly, "You know, you smile a lot even when you look tired." She laughed softly. "Maybe it's my way of surviving Lagos." He turned to her, his eyes kind. "Then you're doing beautifully." That night, Neoma couldn't sleep. For the first time in years, someone had seen her, not as the fat girl, but as a woman worth noticing. After that night, things began to change. Obinna would stop by her desk just to talk. He brought her coffee some mornings and shared jokes during lunch breaks. The office started whispering, but he didn't seem to care. He took her to lunch one weekend, a quiet restaurant overlooking the Lagos Lagoon. She wore a soft pink dress, unsure of how she looked beside a man so perfect. But the way he looked at her made her feel like the most beautiful woman in the room. As they talked, she told him about her dreams of opening a small bakery one day. "I love baking," she said. "It's the only time I feel completely free." His eyes lit up. "Then do it. Don't wait for permission to be happy." He spoke with a warmth that made her heart open, slowly but surely. Over time they became inseparable. They went to art exhibitions, night markets, and quiet cafes where the world felt small and safe. But not everyone approved. Her co-workers whispered louder now. "She's just using him for money," one said. "No, he's using her for pity," another replied. Neoma tried to ignore them, but the voices lingered. One night she told Obina, "Maybe people are right. Maybe this won't work." He smiled. "Then let them. They'll see what I see." For 2 days she searched for the perfect dress. Finally she chose an elegant emerald green gown that flowed softly around her curves. Her sister helped her style her natural curls, and when she looked into the mirror that evening she barely recognized herself. At the gala, cameras flashed, champagne sparkled, and music filled the air. When Neoma stepped into the hall beside Obina, the crowd went silent. Every head turned. Some eyes judged, some admired, but one pair of eyes, his, looked only with love. He leaned in and whispered, "You look like a dream." Her lips curved into a smile. "Then you must be the one who dreamt it." They danced slowly under the soft lights. People began to see what he saw, the glow of her confidence, the joy that radiated from her. She wasn't hiding anymore. By the end of the night, Obina raised a glass and introduced her to his board members. "This is Neoma," he said proudly. "The woman who reminds me every day that beauty is not perfection, it's peace." Applause filled the hall. For the first time she didn't shrink under the attention, she owned it. Months passed and their love deepened. They traveled together, cooked together, shared quiet evenings on his balcony overlooking the city. With him she learned to love herself again. But not everything was perfect. His mother, a traditional woman, once told him privately, "That girl is not your match, Obina. She is too much woman for a man of your status." He smiled gently and replied, "Mama, that's exactly what I need, a woman with enough heart to hold the whole world." One night as they walked by the lagoon, the city lights shimmered on the water. The air smelled of sea and promise. Obina stopped and turned to her, his expression soft. "You know what I love most about you?" he asked. She laughed. "My jollof rice?" He chuckled. "That too. But mostly your heart. It carries love without shame. You've taught me that peace lives in the arms of someone who truly sees you." He knelt, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "Neoma, you are my calm in a loud world. Will you marry me?" Her breath caught. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Yes." Under the Lagos skyline, with the waves whispering against the shore, they sealed their love, not the kind measured by perfection but by truth. Her story. Months later, their pre-wedding photos went viral. The internet buzzed with admiration. "Finally, a man who loves a woman for who she is," one comment read. Neoma opened her bakery in Lekki, naming it The Heart's Weight. Each cake she baked carried the story of a woman who once doubted her worth and found it again, in love and in herself. And when customers asked about the name, she would smile softly and say, "It's not about how heavy the body is. It's about how light the heart becomes when it is truly loved." Love doesn't need a perfect body, only a brave heart. True beauty begins when you stop shrinking to fit into a world that was never meant to define you.